So I'm going to introduce Dr. Ramesh Ramadoss right now and get the panel started, and he'll introduce the panelists. Dr. Ramesh Ramadoss, he's an IEEE senior member. He's vice president of the IEEE Standards Association. What I'm really familiar with him with is being co-chair of the IEEE Blockchain Initiative, which he's been leading and has started a great many local groups all throughout the world. And we have one here in Memphis. I'm actually the lead for the Americas or the USA groups. And he's an entrepreneur, investor, author, international speaker, and he's going to be a great moderator for our next panel on Metaverse.
Thank you. I think we have Justin and, oh yeah, I see Justin and also Courtney. Okay. So you want me to take it from here, Christine? Oh yeah, okay, I see her.
Yep, I'll let you take it from here, sorry.
Thank you. I think we have like 45 minutes. I don't know how many of you are in the first opening remarks. I talked a little bit about Metaverse and Yuan talked about Metaverse definitions and his views. Now we have some folks here who teach Metaverse. They use Metaverse in industry like Courtney. So it should be an interesting discussion. So why don't we do a quick intro? Maybe I'll start with Justin. Well, yeah, let's go with Justin. Random pick.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, the audio works.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Justin Golston. I always say in the Web 2 world, I'm a professor at Penn State University. I'm also an advisory board member for the graduate school at Georgetown University. I also do a lot of research in sustainability at the University of Southern California. So in the Web 3 world, I also do a lot of research in terms of the metaverse, systems thinking, and soul-bound tokens. Based on my research, we just published the first peer-reviewed academic case study on the metaverse, where we actually looked at BitCountry within a Polkadot ecosystem. We just got a journal article approved on soul-bound tokens that should be coming out in the next couple of weeks, and then we also published a academic case study on hybrid finance. That information can be found on Google Scholar just by searching my name. I'm also a 5-time TEDx speaker on blockchain during the last bear market, and then I've also been actually teaching in the metaverse, in our crypto voxels metaverse, for the last 2 semesters at Penn State, where we're actually building a university in the metaverse. So we're trying to be a metaverse agnostic platform. So we're actually operating within crypto voxels. We're building in BitCountry. We're also building in TCG World on the Binance Smart Chain. So we're trying to get as many people within the metaverse, trying to educate, democratize education as much as possible by using metaverse. That's all.
Cool, thank you. So metaverse education seems like your big thing. Now let's move to Courtney. He's using metaverse in the industry, so let's hear from him.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning for those in the East Coast. I'm a Brazilian. I'm on the crypto space since 2015. On the IT from so long I don't want to mention, but it's 84. And I'm just getting on this kind of Internet 9, as I used to call it, through the first PCs in the 80s, and now I'm working with what we call cutting edge technology, which is quantum computing, advanced cryptography, and augmented and altered reality. That's what we call Metaverse down here. I am an old programmer, just like Donna Knut, and I just approached the Metaverse field by my kiddos on gaming. Now we are using that for education, on industry, and on healthcare space, in hospitals like Albert Einstein down here in Brazil. My fields of research are related to post-quantum cryptography and central bank digital currencies. This is what I do for living in Accenture, where I'm a digital strategy director. And also I'm doing research around what we call a wallet 3.0. This is how I call this Web3 stuff. I know almost everyone in the crypto space, like Gavin, that found the Web3 space, and almost no one in the altered reality environment. So thank you very much for the honor of being here, and let's see if we have great debates.
You on next?
I think I have been introduced, but okay. So my role is My IEEE role included I'm the president-elect of IEEE Standards Association and the director-elect of IEEE Board of Directors. I'm currently acting as a founding chair of the IEEE Metaverse Standards Committee, and also which used to be IEEE's Virtual Reality and Augmented Reality Standards Committee. And I'm also chairing the IEEE Consumer Technology Society's Blockchain Standards Committee. I founded that standards committee as well. So I have, I would say, I have a background in both XR field and also the blockchain field. So I have been working in the multimedia and the XR for more than 20 years. And I started working in blockchain for, I think, more than 5 years, shorter, but still not very, very short experience. Thank you.
Cool. So I know like you all come from different backgrounds. Like in fact, Yuan just gave a talk about, Metaverse, his views and definition from his, viewpoint. Now, maybe before we get into, discussions, maybe like 1 or 2 sentences, maybe each one of you can tell us what's your view about Metaverse or what's your definition, and then we can start getting into discussions because, the answers you're going to give us depends on what you think is a Metaverse from your point of view. And, there's the Web3, like this Web2, Web3, and, there's debates still ongoing, like what it means and, between like crypto blockchain community versus like the folks who are been in the web internet for a while. They hate these terms. So that's why I want to start by each one of you defining like very short, like a couple of sentences of what's your definition of a metaverse. Like, let's start with maybe you just gave a talk, so maybe.
Okay, yeah. So my definition is that a metaverse is a kind of experience, and the experience is about the outside world is perceived by the users as being a universe, and that universe is built upon digital technologies. So that's basically my definition. And furthermore, we can say that there are 3 different types. Either that is a different universe, or that is a digital extension of our current universe, or that is a digital counterpart of our current universe. I believe this definition covers both the consumer and the enterprise applications we have seen so far, including the digital twin, virtual reality, and augmented reality. Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to make a note that you're not a fan of Web3.
Yeah.
So let's set the ground. Now let's move to let's say, Courtney, you want to go next in terms of your definition of a metaverse or metaverses?
Yeah, I am a more kind of a human-centric, and since I was a kid, I read cryptography and science fiction books, and I'm also a big rock and roll fan. So metaverse to me is just an altered state of conscience. And the fans like me of Grateful Dead band knows that metaverse started with drugs in the 70s, 60s, and things like that, like LSD and all the experiments that was made around mind-altering drugs. Like the Doors with mescaline and things like that. So the real metaverse is a complex subject and very explored in all the Nebula Prize books. So right now there is a kind of a show that say the peripheral, which immerse your conscience inside of an altered state of mind that you perceive that reality like being reality. I mean, dreaming. And this is the original metaverse definition. What we're trying to do as a kind of electronic engineers is to mimetize this kind of experience. And we are real far, far, far away from that. The second point is on our technology, where it's possible today, we have zillions of different metaverses. Right now, we are into a metaverse. Our minds are connecting our realities that say, okay, there's 3 people I never met, that we have a bond connection. We are talking about ideas. We have totally different cultures from 4 different countries, and we are connected inside one topic, which is debating the metaverse. This by itself is a conscious metaverse. And coming back to the electronics, what we have as a technology today is so amazing, so full of potentiality and how can I say, realities that we can create. We can teach people, we can teach poor women, we can teach poor kids around the world with what we have as technology. That is amazing how much we spend time debating instead of creating those tools.
That was more than 2 sentences, but thanks for sharing your views.
I put a little zeros on the right.
Now, Justin, go ahead. You've been teaching for a while, so
Yeah. So I think that if you ask everybody their definition of the metaverse that's attending this, you're going to get different definitions. But I think that that's good in order to meet all the requirements of the metaverse. But my definition of the metaverse is a decentralized spaces, plural, right? That's going to change the way that we collaborate, learn, and monetize our skills and knowledge. I think at this given point in time, the metaverse is currently a massive social experiment right now because we don't know what to expect. So I'll work with a number of developers as well as founders of metaverse platforms to kind of see, get feedback on how we actually need to build this metaverse to take on those centralized metaverses. And I think we all know who I'm talking about.
Okay, I think now we all get an idea of where you are coming from. It's still an evolving space, and everybody, we all come from a certain background experience, and we look at it that way, and which is we're human beings, right? So that's the way we operate. Now, let me move to some more practical things. Like, what are the applications of metaverses like right now? And let's talk about 2 topics: right now, and then what you're doing with it, and also where do you think it's going to take off in a big way? That's more like a prediction, but I want to hear from you guys. Like, maybe start with Justin, because you've been teaching with metaverses, so maybe you can start and tell us what you do in the teaching as well as your vision. Or
So hopefully you all will be able to attend the session tomorrow at 4:00 Eastern time, as well as Thursday at 4:00 Eastern time, because we're looking to actually do Polkadot on Tuesday, Solana on Thursday within a metaverse, so within Voxels. So if you go to voxels.com and type in SidTech University, you'll actually see the metaverse build that we're actually going to be presenting in. So that's one of the builds that I've actually been teaching in at Penn State over the last 2 semesters. And if you go in there, you'll see a bunch of Bored Apes as soon as you drop in. So that's kind of my way of getting students within that space. But you'll also see a Zoom screen within there. So it's more of experiential research in terms of the metaverse, right? So I'll actually be in the metaverse within the classroom, and I'll be there physically, but nobody is actually paying attention to me. Everybody is glued to their screen. Right now, given that I teach in also teach at other campuses that will actually Zoom in, the metaverse actually increases the engagement of students. It increases the participation of students, because if students were in the physical classroom, they won't participate. But because they're somewhat anonymous in the metaverse, now I have students that would never speak up if they're on screens just like me and you now. But because they're avatars and nobody really knows who they are, they'll ask questions. They'll learn more. They'll be more engaged. So I think that that's where we're going with the metaverse. And as we're building a metaverse, I'm actually reaching out. I've actually been contacted by a number of people that want to actually bring in mental health advising, mental health consulting within the metaverse. So again, people are anonymous, and now there'll be, because it's somewhat taboo in certain areas, right? Now they'll go in the metaverse, and now they can finally get the help they need. Thanks.
Interesting. So education and then mental health, that's I can see that. Now let's move to maybe Courtney. I know we talked about it a couple of days ago. You're using Metaverse for manufacturing and things like that, right? Tell us from the industry point of view.
Yeah, just a quick second. I kind of share the enthusiasm of Justin about education and mental healthness. I think it's one of the most powerful tools to increase the level of education worldwide. And there is so many things we can do for mental healthness, specifically for the elders and the lonely people and the people that has very fragile mental situations, like women that was abused. It's an amazing tool. But coming back to the practical and kind of a more monetary terms, Yes, we can use that for several applications in the industry with another kind of fancy terms, which are the digital twins. You can teach people, and again, back to the economic inclusion, how to handle engines, how to handle different equipments and get educated on doing kind of a maintenance of that. In the future, with the real digital twins, which means robots or some way of operating machines far away, we can have people living in poor countries doing jobs in rich countries. We are having experiments here with heavy bulldozers or heavy trucks. People are driving heavy trucks far away. People is one city and driving heavy trucks in another city. And it's happening today, which I also like consider metaverse. But the most important and most practical today application is for sure education. There is an old video from NTT Docomo called Vision 2010. It was written in 1998 about kids learning different languages through metaverse. In the long faraway range, back to the enterprise, I think we have a say that we need to be constant learners or long life learners or eternal learners. And it's kind of interesting how easy we can learn new things thanks to the technology. And metaverse, we're going to have a fundamental kind of a part of it. So educationally speaking, we can have reskilling jobs done easily for people all around the world. And if you put a little bit more twisty, say, okay, I can translate easily, we can help people being educated by the best teachers in the world whenever they speak, whenever kind of language they speak. That's going to be revolutionary.
Thanks, Courtney. So what do you use for the use cases you just talked about?
Several tools, since basic tools until Unreal Engine 5. And more than that, we have lots of scanning technology for the engines.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Let's go to you, Yuan. Tell us some use cases.
Yeah, so I think education, healthcare, and smart manufacturing are also my top use cases. But if I need to add some, I would say entertainment is, of course, one of the top applications. Because, metaverse can be used to provide some very exciting, entertaining experience, including gaming, but not limited to gaming. You know what I'm talking about. And another use case I would say is probably would be smart cities. So use metaverse to have a overview about how to manage your city, everything, creating a digital twin for smart cities. This has been a use case in many cities or many countries. And another one I would like to add is retail. So more and more retailers have been using metaverse to help help with the visibility of their brand, and also help save some cost and improve efficiency. For example, like jewelry, the industry, those guys with metaverse, they can avoid they used to do things like if you need to sell some diamond to some rich persons in Dubai, you need to physically move those diamonds there, which means you will have import and export duties in both directions. But if you can let those guys experience those the diamonds remotely before they can make some more tangible purchasing decision, you can save lots of duties and efforts in moving those luxury goods. So this is just a good example, but I think retail industry is, of course, another use case for metaverse.
Cool, thank you. So to summarize, I heard education, health, mental health, and then training, operating, I guess heavy machinery kind of thing, manufacturing, heavy machinery, entertainment, retail. Okay, so these are some of the things. So I want to quickly share the screen. I hear, do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
I'm sharing the crypto voxel. Right, so Justin, you mentioned about, you're using crypto voxels for your teaching, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard Courtney mention about, I guess that's Microsoft, right? Engine 5, you mentioned. Is that correct, Courtney?
Yep.
Okay, so now this is the starting point of the discussion now. So we have, Metaverse is like blockchain companies, they use the term decentralized. That's a whole, debate we can have, whether it's centralized, decentralized, and all that. But, we have like two extremes here, like blockchain-based metaverses, like this one, Voxel, which is based on Ethereum blockchain. And then we have big companies like Microsoft, and of course, Meta, or formerly Facebook. They're all working in this space, right? The big companies as well as these startups trying to capture this market. So, what's your view like? What are your thoughts on like, which one is going to lead? Of course, if you talk to the blockchain guys, they say they're going to take over the metaverse, and also the fact that Meta, formerly Facebook, apparently has been losing money, which is not apparently, but they did lose money last quarter, I guess a year now. So what's your view on where are we heading? Like there's almost like two communities, correct? You have the upcoming, like crypto based metaverses where they have tokens, NFTs, and all that, and then of course you have enterprises like big companies. Basically, they're already in gaming, or Meta. They have a lot of capital, and they bought a VR company, VR headset, and they're all trying to get into the space. So I want to hear your views. It's good that Courtney is using Microsoft and Justin is using Voxel, so that could help us, drive this conversation.
Justin?
Yeah, I think that centralized and decentralized metaverses are going to coexist. So I come from the ERP industry, right? SAP does not, you don't see SAP in every single organization, right? SAP also has different products for large organizations, small and medium organizations, and startups, right? So it depends on what the requirements are going to be for certain organizations, for certain communities. If you have a decentralized metaverse and an organization comes in and has a particular requirement because of a regulation, right? That's going to be very difficult to do within a decentralized metaverse. But if they go for NVIDIA or Microsoft, right, then they can actually create that modification to cater to that organization's requirements for the metaverse, right? So I think that they're going to coexist. I also think that there's different communities, and I think that once it's all going to start with education, and then once people understand the differences and the benefits and drawbacks. I'm pro decentralization, right? But I understand that there's going to be use cases for people for centralized metaverses. That's them, right? I'm just going to stay in my lane over here in my decentralized metaverse. So it comes down to education, and people need to understand the pros and cons of decentralized metaverses and centralized metaverses, and then just make their decision. So I think they're going to coexist.
Okay, so you say your summary is they will coexist, and people can choose what is the best for their use case. Okay, now let's move on to others, like let's say Courtney.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Justin because, we are in technology for 40 years. So there's zillions of different technologies and zillions of different applications. And now, more than ever, we have zillions of engineers. It's impossible to have just one single standard like old days, like we have TCP/IP and HTTP and things like that. So probably we are going to reverse standards for interoperability, which is kind of a more touchy and interesting realm to get. Besides of that, I think Metaverse has a different kind of experience, which is the artistic experience. We are engineers, so we try to make standard to make everything fit in everything anywhere in the world. But when we're talking about human perception, we have totally different semiotics in our brains. So as a Brazilian, I perceive things in a way totally different than the Indian people or the Chinese people or the Black American people or the Indian American people or the Eskimos. So probably the way I use my tool to build those semiotic experience is going to kind of mold my experiences, the experience I'm trying to do. And of course, we need to have different experiences on that. I've learned that again in the 90s with mobile phones from Entity Docomo again. They have zillions of models because they have zillions of end users with different semiotic needs. Probably we are going to have much more of these on Metaverse because aesthetic issues on that. So interoperability of the environments is a good idea. Just one platform is not. And the other thing is, despite the fact we are using Unreal Engine, we can have zillions of different end environments on that. Since the square blocks we use in Minecraft to the most perfect or most kind of a simulated environments. And we have a third effect, which are the hardware. We have different hardwares with different kind of levels of perfections. And of course, we have different levels of power acquisition in people around the world. If you're very poor people and you just can buy regular lenses, you still can have a limited metaverse experience, but it's a metaverse experience. If you're very wealthy and can buy the equivalent of Mac Pro of Oculus and immersive technology, you have a much more immersive experience. And you need to design for these different kind of experiences. That's why I do believe that we're going to have zillions of different platforms on that.
Okay, coming back to you. So what's your view on
Well, I think I have an easy answer. I fully agree that the decentralized metaverses and the centralized ones are going to coexist. And I'd also like to point out that decentralization or not is just one aspect of metaverse. There are many other technologies like those XR senses and actions, interaction with those headsets and other devices, and also the 3D modeling and rendering, all kinds of things. Those things have nothing to do with decentralization or not, have nothing to do with crypto or blockchain. Those are different disciplines. So even the decentralized metaverse advocates, when they are talking about they're giving you examples or demonstrations, they still need to use those XR headsets or devices or those 3D worlds created on top of like those 3D modeling engines and physics engines and things like that. So there are many different disciplines. There are many different technologies. Centralization or not is just one dimension or one aspect. And I do think we will see the coexistence of both of them, like our current human society. So we have centralized organizations, we have decentralized ones. So in a virtual universe, we're going to see the same situation, the coexistence of centralized and decentralized ones. Thank you.
Okay, so it seems like you guys are all in agreement in terms of this coexistence of both. Now, what about user experience? Like, do you have to get the this VR headset to enter a metaverse? Like this movie Ready Player One. I don't know how many of you watched it. Currently, I know like to get into. Well, let me ask you: do you need a headset? How do you can you just experience metaverse on your mobile phone or laptop, or do you really need some headset?
Well, it depends on the application. For the most immersive, of course, we need headsets and ears, and sometimes gloves or the punches we have on the fists and things like that. There is clothes for more immersive even, and there is some experiments we are doing in laboratory with privacy sensing immersion tanks. That tanks that you get in salt and get into and get everything dark, and you have a kind of a more interesting experience specifically for mental health. I've seen some studies around that. But again, metaverse is just a matter of your mental state. We are in the metaverse right now with very limited technology, and we are having good conversations. And we used to give classes using just like this. We have the whiteboards we are using to give classes in the last 2 years also, and we still have more kind of low technologies for that. And the expectation for what is metaverse is always confused with augmented reality or virtual reality, and they're different stuff. Virtual reality is a tool to put you in the metaverse. When you see a very immersive movie like Avatar, you have the sound, the TAS sound. You have the screen, which is rounded. You have, of course, the 3D glasses where you can see the image of the movie and things like that. And it's cheap. It's not so high tech on that. We can build immersive experiences for metaversing without the tech we are looking right now. What we need more is designers that comprehend all this stuff, and designers that can build around the limitations of the technology. If you want to build kind of, for instance, classes for people and very short classes for very simple subjects, we can do short movies for kiddos with 3D glasses and a TV on screen on the living room. If you want to teach people how to make surgery, and we have one case in Brazil, one professor has made a kind of a doll, which is made with special components that mimetizes the human skin. So you can teach brain surgery and kids using this doll. She has patented the doll. It's a physical metaverse. You can touch it. And the design of this kind of experiences is a unique process, like artist process. And this is why we engineers must understand. You're on mute.
You're on mute, Ramesh.
Sorry, Justin, back to you. You're teaching using CryptoVoxel. Do you need any headsets, or can it be, how do the students enter your metaverse?
Yeah, current state. I mean, I actually just put the link in the chat. I mean, if you can go right now. So I would say current state, the majority of the metaverses can be viewed through a desktop. Very few can be viewed through a mobile phone. You'll have certain metaverses such as Illuvium that they're pouring millions of dollars into developing a mobile application for their metaverse. Meta, I would say, it's my opinion. It's my opinion. You know, I would say that Meta is the furthest along with their solution, but there are some decentralized metaverse applications that have offered apps on the Oculus headset or whatever they want to call it now. I know they changed the name. I just know about Oculus. But like some of them that you test, if you try to use a browser, it'll actually crash on the headset. So we have a lot of work to do, in my opinion, in terms of these metaverses being on the headsets. But again, some of those centralized, because they have the funding to actually hire the developers and build, quicker than these decentralized applications that depend upon, seed investors and the appreciation of their cryptocurrencies. I think that, that's kind of what kind of draws it, especially in the bear market, and I think that I'm glad there's a shakeout, because now we can see the real builders within this space. And you have Animoca Brands who's building out Sandbox. They're still doing a lot of work. Like I said, I mentioned Illuvium, BitCountry still doing a lot of work. This is not a shill. I'm just giving you some examples. So those people that are still building during a bear market, those are the ones that I think that's going to win in the end. I think we're still a long ways away from mass adoption on this. So that's my thoughts.
Cool. I know you worked in the virtual reality space for a while. So what's your view on, headset? Because it appears that as of now, big companies like, Meta, Microsoft, their metaverses seems like you need a headset to experience it. But then when you're looking at, the blockchain-based metaverses like, on voxels and Sandbox, you don't need the headset as of now. But so what's your view?
So you probably remember that in my talk, I labeled immersive as a nice to have feature of metaverse, but not a mandatory feature. So from that perspective, I would say that immersive is not really that important for now. If we want to address a wider adoption of metaverse, if we need to prioritize all kinds of features, I would say it's more important to let people access various metaverses from all kinds of existing devices, like your cell phone, your laptop, your pad, things like that. That's more important for the sake of the wide adoption of metaverse at this stage. And also, I'd like to mention that the current approach of, I would say, vision-based immersive headsets is going to be replaced by human-machine interface, sorry, by brain-machine interface either way in the next maybe 10 to 15 years. So it's just like an intermediate solution for people to use this vision-based gadgets or vision-based devices. Like I said, the ultimate goal is to provide a comprehensive, indistinguishable immersive experience. But if we are just addressing the input of your consciousness from outside of your senses, like try to simulate vision, sound, and so on, we're still far from simulating many other input that your consciousness will interact with your body and lots of other things. So ultimately, if we look at the root cause of this problem, everything can be eventually solved by direct input through brain-machine interface. That's why my technical belief is that brain-machine interface is going to be the ultimate solution for a truly immersive experience for metaverse users. And what we currently have and what big companies are currently developing, those vision-based either AR glasses or VR headsets, they are just some intermediate solutions, and they are going to be replaced in 10 to 15 years. So that's my vision.
Okay, so I hear like all three of you are saying like, this decentralized metaverses and centralized metaverses, or you could say, startups building these crypto-based metaverses and big companies building metaverses, they both will coexist. That was what all of you were saying. Now, what about the interoperability? Do we need that, or do you think each one is going to be like their own ecosystem? Like today, every game is kind of different, right? Each game, they have their own user base. Of course, a user could be, part of multiple game ecosystems, but typically games don't interoperate, right? So what do you think will happen to metaverse? Do we need standards, and is interoperability necessary?
I can take that first.
Yeah.
So I would say interoperability is definitely a need for standard. We need to, at least from the under this technology perspective, we need to enable the possibility like sharing file formats, those kind of 3D models. But at the application level, that's a different story. We need to find the real use cases why we need the interoperability. So interoperability is a means, not a purpose. Only when we can have real use cases for interoperability between two metaverses, we will really need that. But that does not hurt if we start working on developing some standards like the interchangeable file formats, 3D formats, things like that.
So this is actually one thing that's already begun. So there's the Open Metaverse Alliance that actually got kicked off in November 1st, and some of the largest metaverses, Decentraland, Sandbox, Yuga Labs, the creators of Bored Apes, who created the other side metaverse, Voxels is a part of it, and their primary objective is to create interoperability. I think that, from an NFT perspective, you have the Bored Ape Yacht Club that are on the Ethereum blockchain. So if I want my ape on Polkadot, then I'm going to have to create that interoperability. Now you have the wormhole. So the wormhole was created to, shoot cryptocurrencies from Ethereum to Solana to Phantom, but they've also recently added functionality to transfer NFTs from blockchain to blockchain. So we're starting to see the early phases of that. But yes, we can create a wrapped NFT from Ethereum to Phantom to Polygon, for example. But I think that the issue still exists, where if I have an Ethereum based NFT, right, am I going to be able to shoot that into like a Binance Smart Chain type metaverse, so I can actually use it and walk around with my Ethereum NFT within a Binance Smart Chain metaverse. So that's what I think, that's what this Open Metaverse Alliance is going to do. And I think that That's really the only way that they're going to be able to take on these centralized metaverses. If that's what they want to do, or they can be like us and think and say that, okay, we're going to coexist. I don't know. Time will tell.
Currently.
I do agree with Justin again, and I don't see separation between this crypto world like NFTs and private tokens and what we call metaverse. I think it's going to be interoperability again, because the video game, they may want or not be open spaces, but they will be forced to. Ethereum was created because Vitalik has lost some games object, and he wants to create a computing platform where everything can be interoperable. We at Microsoft and Accenture are part of Metaverse Standards Organization, which is a different one, but it doesn't matter. We can merge it tomorrow. And I think I3E has a very important role or building its own standard around not only Metaverse, but blockchain and token interoperability also. In the future, I will see is just like the web. We have machines talking to web talking to web talking to mainframe, and things like that. Software engineers, this is what I am. We build interoperability since ever, and we are going to find a way to interoperate all those kind of environments. What really confusing is technical interoperability with economical interoperability. So the closed environments like Apple Store, like the video games today, they are closed because they want to be the closed garden model. I mean, I control the environment for financial reasons. And there's no way we can have the full experiences or more immersive experience without using open standards. That's why we have the massification of innovation when you have open and inclusive standards. So I think the whole industry is going to converge in the future to this kind of open stuff around that.
Yeah, before I want to point out to the audience. So there's actually two entities, you were talking about, the Open Metaverse Alliance that Justin was talking about. If you scroll down and see, it's primarily all the blockchain companies here. You can see Dapper Labs and Sandbox, and these are all like blockchain guys. And then Justin, you were talking about Metaverse Standards Forum. I think Yuan is also involved with this, and this seems like a lot of big companies and big organizations. Maybe you can comment on this and maybe perhaps comment on how IEEE, what kind of role IEEE plays in the space.
Yeah, so I was involved in this Metaverse Standards Forum from the very beginning. So my own company was one of the 35 founding members starting in June. And now I believe they have almost 2,000 members. So it grows very fast. But the Metaverse Standards Forum, I mean, the entity members, not the individual members. So it's really huge. But the Metaverse Standards Forum, although named after standards, it is not supposed to be another SDO competing with other SDOs. It is like a mechanism or a platform for dialogue, for information exchange between companies and between companies and SDOs. So as you can see on the screen, there are like 17, maybe, 19 different SDO partners, including IEEE. So they are supposed to redirect standardization needs to appropriate SDO partners, and the standards development is supposed to happen under one of those partner SDOs, including IEEE. So that's sort of confusing, but anyhow, so I have been involved in this forum from the very beginning, and I also was one of the drivers making IEEE part of this forum.
Yeah, so it seems like as of now we have two organizations. There may be more. I was talking earlier, during my presentation. There's like apparently over 400 alliances and consortia in the blockchain space. So there's only two in Metaverse, but there may be more. So I think I'll stop here and maybe let's take some questions from the audience. I see some in the chat box. Let me scroll up and see. Let me see here. Kit August, she's talking about. Kit, are you there? Maybe you could just summarize if you're there. You had a question in the chat. Do you want to ask that? I guess she's there, but maybe I can read. Lifelong learning, reskilling, developing subject
They're
matter.
asked to unmute you. Unmute, Kit.
Oh, okay. Somebody has to let me unmute her. Hold on. Unmute. Okay, how about now? Try.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Ask your
Hello.
question.
It's so nice to join this group. Thank you so much for recognizing me here. Yeah, so I was thinking about all the challenges that people face when they have to reskill in their life. And the notion is intimidating to many people. But if we can come up with a notion that's more palatable, a way to engage people, even stakeholders for whom these have great values, these concepts have great values, employers, stakeholders in communities, governments, et cetera. People don't want to just like fall off the edge of the earth when they outlive their usefulness, because it's happening younger and younger now. We really do have to keep up with our skills. So, but it's intimidating. I mean, think about going back to get a PhD today, right? If you had to go back and get a PhD today, it would be intimidating. So maybe there's a way to help gradually introduce people to these new concepts of always engaging in something. And recently I've heard about younger people becoming mentors for older people, which I've always been in favor of. If you have a 14-year-old around your house, you never have to worry about where, what thing is working and what isn't, because they'll figure it out and they'll make sure you understand. You know what I mean? So the idea of shape shifting, as Dr. Justin pointed out, taking on a new avatar personality, helps us to delve into that area, explore that area. But if we can get stakeholders to buy into these ideas, that it helps their workforce, that it helps their community, that it helps, in some way, I think that would be a really big opportunity. And maybe there's a different word there rather than going back to school, going back to, you know what I mean? Like maybe there's a way to deal with that.
Yeah, Justin, you want to take that since you're an educator?
Yeah, I agree with Kit, and I'm a big proponent of reverse mentoring. The late great Jack Welch was one that kind of introduced that to leaders of organizations. And you're spot on with what you're saying, in that my best builder in the metaverse is 17 years old. And the first time I talked to him, he said, "Dr. Ghost, I'm trying to figure out whether or not I should go to college." I said, "I'm a professor. And I'm going to say, based on, he has 250,000 followers on YouTube. All they do is watch him build in Minecraft."
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when you have people who are part of the community, who are part of building what the college does, the college will be more successful. The same thing with the companies, the same thing with the metaverse. If we can engage the people who are the target users of the metaverse to get involved with designing and creating the metaverse, it will take a shape, maybe not the one we see today, but it will take a shape that will serve the people, the community, the stakeholders.
Yeah. And if you go, again, I'm not shilling my information, but if you go to look at that metaverse article that I wrote, I based it around the quadruple bottom line: people, planet, profit, and purpose. Because I think the metaverse is going to make a positive societal impact, especially for emerging economies. And I think that you're going to start to see a lot of these 18-year-old, and that kid, that student, he didn't go to college. Now he owns 2 properties in Switzerland, and Switzerland is not cheap.
I know, I lived there for nearly 20 years on and off. So yes, Switzerland is a fun place, but not
owns
cheap.
2 properties at 18. just building the metaverse. Yeah. Has owned physical properties, building virtual properties.
Yeah, I mean, so you can see how people shape the community, whatever that community and technology will be. We have to invite everybody into the space to make the space worthy of everyone.
But in my experience, the biggest thing with the metaverse, with Web3, with blockchain, you have to participate in it to understand it.
Yes.
There's not that many textbooks now, is it, on blockchain? There's not that many academic journal articles on the practical application. The majority is just theoretical. Right.
But how do people consume their information now? Some people can consume it through a journal article. Other people have to consume it on a podcast.
YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, there are all these different modes that we have to participate in. Otherwise, we're not going to reach the people that we want to reach.
Yeah.
Learning has changed in the last 20 years, right? We all know.
Yes.
It's yeah, it is definitely a scary thing to think about what's going to happen 10 years from now. I mean, we already seen what happened, what has happened in the last 25 years.
For the past 3 years, we've seen a lot of change.
Yeah, exactly. The last 3 years post pandemic. So, any other comments, thoughts from others?
No, I was just thinking about the BMI, the brain machine interface. I'm very intrigued by
Yeah,
that. I look
right.
forward to
You
hearing more
want-
from Dr. Wan about in the
What's
future.
going
I
on?
know not this moment, but sometime it would be great to hear.
You have any comments, you?
Yeah, actually, in my slides, I had a prediction, but I didn't show that today. So
You can share if you like. You're welcome to share.
okay, let me find that. So the easiest part is read only. Currently, you can just by thinking, you can do some typewriting or controlling a toy car, things like that. But moving forward, you will be able to just by thinking, you can control your avatar without any extra devices. That is next stage. Let me share my screen here. So that is the next stage of BMI. And moving forward, ultimately, we will be able to see, have the, give me 1 second. We will be able to have the read and write functions, which means, so actually, this is the first access. So today we have read-only brain-machine interface supporting simple actions like typewriting, like controlling a toy car, things like that. And my expectation is that by 2025, read-only brain-machine interface should be able to support all kinds of actions, which means you will be able to control your virtual avatar by just thinking. You don't need to use any like extra devices or things like that. But the most difficult thing is input into your brain, replacing the input from the outside world. So that is the writing into your brain. So read and write brain machine interface may not happen before 2035. We need some time to develop that, and by that time we should be able to really implement all kinds of senses, all kinds of input and output. So it's similar to the vision in those science fiction movies like Matrix, but in a positive way. So I hope I addressed the question.
Interesting comments. Any other questions? I see Wendy. I see some comments from Wendy. I can make, let's see if I can, Dr. Wendy, I'm trying to find her. Hold on. Yeah, you can speak now. I just unmuted you.
Hi, good afternoon, and glad to be a part of this this session. And I do agree with Kit as well, because there are different types of learners, and everyone is not going to be able to grasp the information from articles. But the very people who need the use of the technology, engaging them through YouTube, through the actual physical part of being involved in blockchain, I'm going to tell you it's going to make a difference in their life, because they'll be able to be a part of that change. What is scary is the use of the word technology. Everybody runs from it because it is a little scary. If you talk about reskilling, they begin to think that age has something to do with it. They begin to think that they haven't kept up with it, and so they're not able to be a part of it. But I think the way that you all are explaining it is a way that we can engage them for the very needs in their own communities, for what they're going to have to be exposed to be a part of the change.
Excellent. I totally agree, and that's why we need
Yeah.
designers of that. I think we are talking about much more about human factors than engineering factors. And designers, educational designers, semiotic designers, human perception designers are absolutely needed in order to build the right experience for the right people. We can have the same content, the same tools, and build totally different experience for totally different people, including people with some different characteristics, with kind of not only learning but physical limitations to learn. It's one of the most inclusive kind of tools we can build as engineers, I guess.
Cool. So these are questions coming from smart people here. So we should take them very seriously. So any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I was just also saying
Yeah,
that one thing we're looking at is a learn and earn model. You know, we've seen the rise in play and earn. We've seen the issues with play and earn. So we're actually learning from that. So with our SIDTech project on TCG World, we're actually working with TCG World to actually develop a model for learn and earn. It exists now with some of these centralized exchanges like Binance. Binance will actually give you tokens if you go through protocols like Polkadot. You can read something like 30 minutes on Polkadot and you get like tokens.
Coinbase Exchange, they do that same thing.
Yeah, Coinbase does it too. So it already exists, but we want to do it from an educational perspective and scale it out. So that's one thing that everyone on here think about. And if you have any ideas, reach out to me because we're actually trying to build that model out right now.
I see. Interesting. So cool. I think we address the questions, comments in the chat. There are no other questions. We could stop here. And any closing thoughts from each one of you? What's the next exciting thing to look for?
I would say the integration of artificial intelligence in the blockchain in the metaverse. If you check out Altered State Machine, they're actually building something. They're actually building something now called non-fungible intelligence, where they're actually going to integrate AI with the metaverse. And I think it's going to be very impactful.
You're saying it's AI plus blockchain plus AI plus metaverse. Okay. Let's hear from Courtney.
I think zero knowledge proofs on metaverse. We can reveal several stuff about ourselves, authenticate ourselves without revealing several stuff about ourselves.
You?
Yeah, I'd like to echo Justin. I think AI GC is a very important thing during the past weeks, and it's going to make lots of differences in metaverse in the coming months. So AI GC is very popular now, and in terms of metaverse, we're talking about tremendous universes, digital universes. We're talking about comprehensive content, massive content. So we can't build all of them just by our hands, by either professional or typical users. So AI is definitely needed to either aid our content generation or directly generate lots of content. So that is a very, I would say, very promising direction.
Cool. I think thank you all for joining this panel, and maybe Christine, you can take it from here. I think I saw you post a couple of announcements, so maybe you can tell folks.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, Justin, Courtney. Thank you very much, and thank you to Kit and Wendy for asking questions. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah, and thank all of you for coming today. I really appreciate it, and it was really nice to get to learn a little bit more about each of what you're working on, and what your takes are and your views of what's going to happen in the future. I really appreciate that. Later on, there's also a talk. It's the Metaverse of Engineering, Digital Twins in Engineering at 6 p.m. Pacific time, which is a little bit later for the East Coast and further east. But it'd be great if you could join in there. Does anybody else have any questions before we wrap it up? I think you're able to answer what needed to be answered, and we had a great audience today. And thanks so much for coming out.
Yeah, by the way, we have a talk at, I guess, 2 p.m. Is that right? DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organizations Beyond the Hype. This is by Aidan Slavin, World Economic Forum. Well, you have a few choices. That's one of them. This is
so that's like the keynote.
Yeah,
it's the keynote at that time.
It's a keynote, actually. Yeah, it's an afternoon keynote in about 30 minutes. Yeah. It's on DAO. It should be interesting because he's been working on this governance toolkit and all that at the World Economic Forum. So please come back after lunch break, 30 minutes.
Nice. All right. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Okay, and I'm going to stop recording.
I stopped already, Christine.
Oh, it is. I was just looking. I was like, I don't see the.
I hit stop. Yeah.